Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Living Well or Trying to with Janet. Today's episode is about health and wellness, obviously, like all of my topics. But I've shared many times on other platforms that I generally prefer a more natural approach when it comes to health. And as a second generation Chinese American, I grew up in a household that had mixed Eastern and Western ways of thinking about health. In fact, in my late 20s, I became so interested in Eastern health philosophy that I spent a semester in acupuncture school studying traditional Chinese medicine. Nowadays, Eastern medicine is increasingly normalized and embraced by standard medical systems and in pop culture in general, which I'm really excited about. And I want to take this episode as an opportunity to dig into the concept of modern wellness from a TCM perspective. So in order to do that today, I have with me here a very special guest, Dr. Felice Chan. She is a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, and she's also the founder of her own acupuncture clinic here in Los Angeles, as well as a skincare line called Moonbow, which she co-founded with her twin sister. She also has an amazing presence on social media where she shares super useful and fun health and wellness tips from a TCM perspective. Dr. Felice Chan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for
That was a wonderful
being
intro. I feel so spoiled.
No, I mean, you have an amazing background and you do so many things. So I'm really, really happy to have you here today to have this conversation. But before we get into everything, is there a wellness practice that you're really into right now?
Oh, that I'm into. I think my morning routine. That's just a non-negotiable for me. It's so funny. I just made a post about it today, how, mornings set up your days, which set up your weeks and your months and years. And so to me, it's really sacred. I will wake up 2 hours before I have to go to work to make sure I cook myself a yummy, nutritious, warm breakfast. I can move my body a little bit, have some time for mindfulness.
Yeah.
And that transforms my day.
That's amazing. Are you like innately a morning person, or is it something that you've had to train?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't wake up ridiculously early, like 6:37. It's always been okay. I'm not like terribly fatigued in the morning, but I also go to bed pretty early.
That's always the secret.
Yeah, it's getting enough sleep.
Very amazing. I always still struggle with that. I'm like naturally a night owl, and I'll have like spurts of time where I try to go to bed earlier, but your morning routine it's inspiring me to kind of check that out again.
Thanks.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you got into TCM.
Yeah.
We were just chatting outside a bit about how you actually started out by studying neuroscience, and you were kind of more exploring the Western medical system and approach.
Yeah.
So what kind of made that transition for you to go into Eastern medicine?
Yeah, it's interesting because my childhood and my undergrad, it was all Western medicine. I always had a fascination with medicine, period, right? I grew up in Hong Kong, and even in Hong Kong, in an Asian culture, Western medicine was still the medicine that was pushed forward. It was idealized because of the cosmopolitan and international city Hong Kong was, or still is. And because I had also some family here in the US and my aunt who's a neuroradiologist. So I think that's what kind of primed me to study neuroscience.
Yeah.
I spent summers shadowing doctors, watching brain surgeries, back surgeries, working with pediatrics. It was wonderful. And so hence that was my education before.
Yeah.
And so after studying it for undergrad, studying pre-med and kind of going about my routes of, applying to the traditional allopathic med school, I realized that it is an amazing medicine, but it's not the medicine for me. I think I was looking for medicine that looked more at the root cause, and finding solutions because of that, and also something that was all about mind, body, soul, that really did not ignore emotions as a huge factor of how our physical body responds.
Yeah. Were there any like key moments or experiences that you had that brought that realization?
Yeah. I was going through my own type of spiritual awakening, and I remember my mom went back to school to be a Korea counselor, and at this point I was probably 22, and I was just like, Mom, I don't know what I want to do, should I leave medicine? I was like, I love cooking. Can I be a chef? And she was like, no, you would hate that. And so we did a little career counseling test, and everything brought me back to medicine. And I think, one wake up for me was when I was at Boston Children's working, I was in clinical research for allergy and immunology and working with kids with pretty intense eczema. The kids that got relief were the ones who got acupuncture regularly. These were kids who were, 12, 13, who's never been able to jump into ocean water because their skin was so bad.
Wow.
And to me, I'm like, okay, there's so much weight to that.
Yeah.
I've had great experiences. Chinese medicine, as you know, it's a culture. It's how we grow up, the way that we eat. traditions that are passed through grandmothers and mothers, but to formally understand acupuncture and the medicine, I think that was brought to me when I was at Boston Children's Hospital.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you really saw it in practice.
Yeah.
And then what did that mean for your career then? Did you
Mm.
then transition? And then what's the whole process for anyone out there who's interested,
Yes.
how you become a TCM
Yeah.
practitioner?
What's amazing is that the U.S. has a wonderful acupuncture association that has created many programs that make you eligible to become a well sought out acupuncturist, right? I mean, I went to a 4-year master's program and then did an additional year at a doctorate program. So it was 5 years of med school, essentially, that made me eligible then to take the exams for acupuncture in California and the rest of the United States. So it's very rigorous. It's, not like a 2-year master's program. It's, 5 years of your adult life that you have to commit to it.
Yeah.
But the education is wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you shared that you grew up in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So were there any specific aspects of that experience that you feel like really contributed to the way that you practice your medicine now?
Especially in school too, and now everything just clicks and makes sense more. When I was younger and my grandmother would give me a sugarcane drink, or I would drink broths every single dinner. I had no idea what the benefits were. And now studying it, understanding every energetics of all the food, from the meat, the vegetables, the herbs, everything aligns. And I'm just like, this is so beautiful. And the fact that it's been passed down through generations, it works, it's great for the body, and it just creates a holistic wellness routine rather than take a pill and get better. It kind of is a preventative medicine in itself.
Yeah. I mean, you shared that you have people in your family who practice more like allopathic medicine. Do you feel like there's ever any differences in the way that you both look at things, because they are I think there's a lot more acceptance in the, but just curious if there's ever been either I don't know, at a family dinner or something like that where there's different perspective.
I mean, when I shifted from the Western to the Eastern route, even my parents were just like, what are you doing, Felice? They're just like, you're throwing away your career. You've spent your entire life wanting to do this. Why now? And I think it took a lot of time for them to really understand it was my passion, that they realized that, okay, there is a career path with this. It's not easy. I remember being in Chinese medicine med school, one of the professors was like, the dropout rate is 30%. It's really high because, Western medicine, you get sifted into residency, then you get a job somewhere, you get a steady paycheck, whereas acupuncturist, you're kind of hustling out there, because insurance doesn't cover it. It's a whole different model, and it's difficult. And so that was the biggest reason why my Asian parents, which I'm sure are just like, no, don't leave Western medicine. It's all I'm like, I have to.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I mean, obviously you have an entrepreneurial aspect to your personality, because now you also have Moonbo with your sister.
I never knew that I'd be an entrepreneur. I'm just like, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I'm like, wow, there's so much more to it.
Yeah. I would love if you could talk a little bit more about the concept of thinking about the root cause of something versus just treating the symptoms. Can you kind of discuss some of that and how that comes into play in your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is that part of the whole premise of it is that we don't heal the symptoms, right? There's a reason why someone has a slew of cascading symptoms. And so we learn to diagnose the root cause. And from a Chinese medicine perspective, there are imbalances in the meridian system, imbalances in the organ itself. Could be an interplay of different organs, but once we recognize what the root cause is, a lot of the symptoms start to dissipate. And if you can get to the root cause and the symptoms don't happen anymore, that's beautiful, right? And I think the biggest barrier is that it does take time, because Chinese medicine is completely natural medicine, especially acupuncture. You're not putting anything else in your body. It's literally needles that enter the body that activate this qi movement. Yeah, but it works.
Yeah. Can you give an example of some of the things that your patients come to you for?
Yeah.
And then how long are they typically working with you?
Yeah. Let's start maybe with 2 different examples. I want to share acute back pain, for example, and then fertility. So acute back pain, someone who comes in with, a back spasm, or they throw out their low back. I generally see them twice a week for maybe 2-3 weeks, and it really helps them dissipate this acute strain. Whereas someone who's coming in for fertility, we're dealing with hormones. We're dealing with something that is so much deeper in a sense.
Yeah.
So my fertility patients will probably see me once a week for 3 to 4 months
Mm.
to really get to the root cause of why they are not able to get pregnant, why their periods are irregular. And again, it
Yeah.
is different for everyone. Everyone is an individual.
Yeah.
And yes, we do understand and find these root patterns, but it's never that simple. It's not like one person has this root cause, it's like it's a
Yeah.
mix and a jumble because
Yeah.
we're beautifully complicated human beings.
Yeah. I mean, the examples you gave are very different. And
Mhm.
do you have anything that you kind of like specialize more in with your patients, or do you kind of really address all different types of issues?
Yeah. So in general, acupuncture and Chinese medicine is great for everything. And I think, it's sometimes hard for people to grasp that because
Yeah.
we learn how to bring all the imbalances back into balance.
Mm.
And seemingly unrelated symptoms, like for example, if someone's having ear ringing or tinnitus and they're having low back pain and knee pain, but also urination issues, we learn that those are all not connected, but in Chinese medicine, that's all connected to the kidneys.
I mean, the nature of the medicine
Yeah.
is that you could treat anyone who's just presenting multiple symptoms.
Correct.
Because the theory of the medicine brings them back to certain
Yeah.
patterns altogether.
And I guess, segueing back into that is, I have a team of clinicians at my clinic and we all do specialize, right? Because, over time you start to attract certain clients and patients and you start to learn so much more about specific issues.
Yeah.
And in my clinic, I see a lot of like the gut-brain connection. So what does that mean, right? Gut health issues, anything from IBS, SIBO, constipation, but it's all connected to mental health, right? Depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, like anything that has anything to do with emotions, it always, stems from the gut and just how our body holistically connects.
Okay. I feel like I've been seeing so much in the health and wellness space about gut health and about the connection between your gut and your brain specifically.
Yeah.
So is that something that just recently you've seen like an influx of patients in, or has that always kind of been part of the medicine that you were attracted
Yeah,
to?
I think both. In terms of the influx of patients coming in, especially here in the US, gut issues are so prevalent, right? And when we think about why that's the case, it's perhaps the food, right?
Yeah.
The food system, what is kind of taught as health versus not. I mean, interestingly, when my twin sister and I came to the US for college, she developed really debilitating gut issues. It's because the food here, I mean, it basically gave her a leaky gut and IBS, the stress was high. So it's really understanding, okay, this Western culture and this US culture of this fast-paced world, this stress-induced world, and how does that actually affect our digestion, right?
Yeah.
It's about the rest and digest, parasympathetic, and we're not there.
Yeah, yeah. I would love if you could share, because I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there who are struggling similarly. And even if they've been told, like, you need to kind of change up some lifestyle things so that you support like a more stable, peaceful way of approaching things, what are some like, maybe based on the patients you've seen, what are like common things that you tend to nudge them towards in changing like lifestyle habits?
Ooh, I love this. I mean, again, everyone's individual. So what I share is definitely nuanced, but in general, especially here in LA, there's an overconsumption of cold and raw foods. And I'm talking about smoothies, ice matchas, ice drinks, salads. I mean, LA's hot, right? California's hot in general. And I think there's been a push in the wellness industry where salads are great, smoothies are awesome.
Yeah.
But are they, right? Are you actually processing all of the nutrients that you're taking in? Is that what our body needs at the moment? Whereas Chinese medicine is the complete opposite, where we are warm-blooded and our digestion needs to be warm. In Chinese medicine, we have this theory and understanding that we have this digestive fire. It's essentially, our metabolism.
Yeah.
And our digestive enzymes have to be warm. They operate best at 37, 38 Celsius and 97, 98 Fahrenheit. So if you put anything cold in your body, you're diminishing your metabolism power, right? You can't actually digest food. And the cold and raw will make you bloat more. It makes your spleen qi, what we say, the digestive energy, weak. And it leads to things like more bloating, fatigue, feeling lethargic in the morning, sometimes like, a dampness and like more phlegm in the throat. It's fascinating what that in itself can cause for the rest of the body.
Yeah. And you probably see a lot of your patients coming in, especially in LA.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's not like, okay, you can never have an iced matcha again. It's more like, okay, right now the imbalances are a little bit off. Let's maybe pause them for a week or two. Let's just bring your baseline back into center a little bit. And then you can have it once in a while, but don't have it like 3 times a day,
Yeah. I like that. There's the balance of the reality that clearing it completely out of your diet is like probably not very realistic, but learning to balance so that it's not what you're like depending on all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, sub in a hot one,
Yeah.
It'll be good for you.
I would love if you could talk a little bit about this concept of three treasures. In your practice, you talk about Jing, Qi, and Shen, and how you incorporate these into your clinical practice.
So Jing is our essence, right? It's how we're kind of brought into the world. And I mentioned the kidneys before, and the kidneys are very central to Jing and the essence and what we bring. And it's essentially synergistic to us aging gracefully and how much Jing reserve we have. Then we have Qi. Qi is this energy. We hear this word a lot, and it's not really a concept understood. I mean, even when I was trying to wrap my head around, okay, what is Qi? And as a Chinese medicine doctor and acupuncturist, we feel it and we understand the movement in the body. So when acupuncture needles, enter the body, they hit the meridian system, which is the energetic system and how everything's connected. And what moves is this Qi through the body. And when we have it, it's, in our body, it's outside, it's kind of our aura.
Yeah.
And then we have Shen, which is our spirit. We have our physical body and our spiritual body. It's where our soul is held, essentially. And our heart is the center of what holds our Shen, which is our spirit. And so I love all concepts because it doesn't separate emotions from human. It brings everything together. And it's a medicine that always incorporates the three pillars when we diagnose.
Could you talk a little bit about the tongue and pulse diagnoses? Because this is like a really important part of how Chinese medicine is practiced.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever someone comes into clinic, not just me, but the other practitioners, we will always look at someone's tongue and feel someone's pulse. Because yes, they come in sharing things, and a lot of it is almost like an energetic exchange, but also, are you going to really be telling me everything that's going on?
Right,
and sometimes they won't share a lot because, I mean, it's nerve-wracking to completely be vulnerable, to be like, this is everything that's been going in my life, not just physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
So feeling the pulse and tongue, we can see it. So the pulse, it's fascinating. We're just not feeling for the rate of it. You know how you get your blood pressure cuff and you feel the rate? We're feeling for the quality. So there are so many different qualities of the pulse. I don't know how many, maybe like between 20 and 40, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah.
And 3 positions on each hand, which represent different organs. And so, for example, if someone is highly stressed, stress is relevant to the liver. We say that the pulse tends to be wiry. It's almost like guitar strings kind of strumming. That's how it feels. Whereas if someone has digestive issues, they're eating a lot of cold foods, drinking a lot of smoothies, their pulse would be more slippery. It's almost, we say pearls rolling on a plate. It's all these ways of trying to understand how it feels. But to be honest, once you start to feel hundreds of pulses, then you can start to differentiate them.
Yeah. How many pulses have you read, do you think?
Oh
if
my
you had to
goodness.
estimate?
I have no idea. But it's more just like, if I see a patient weekly, their pulse changes every week based on their health, how they slept the night before, whether they're stressed or anxious, what they ate before,
Wow. That's like a superpower.
Yeah,
I
or
feel
even
like.
pregnancy, for example. Like you can tell if someone's pregnant because their pulse, as I mentioned, becomes more slippery.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if someone comes to me a lot and I'm just like, whoa, why is it extra slippery today? And yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love this looking at or using the pulse and the tongue because I think it teaches the everyday person to like be in tune with your body.
Yeah.
And to be able to perceive that. Obviously, we're not trained to like diagnose based on our pulse and based on our tongue, but it's this idea that these very core aspects of your body, if you're in touch with them, that they are representative of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Especially inside your body, especially looking at the tongue. It changes before and after a meal.
Yeah.
It changes day to day. In a Western standpoint, it's tied to your microbiome as well. But in Chinese medicine, all the organs are represented on it, right? Our digestive organs, our kidneys, our liver, our gallbladder, and they have different positions. And so based on how the tongue is, we start to learn, oh, those are where the imbalances lie.
Yeah. Would you mind if we do a small, like a short,
Yeah.
a quick like tongue diagnosis?
Yes,
and the pulse
absolutely.
reading? Okay, just as an
Yes.
example. So I did just have lunch, so it's probably
That's
going to be
okay.
kind of gross. But
I'm just trying to. Okay, so what I see is that it's a little bit dusky, right? Are you okay if I talk a little bit
Go
about
ahead
your tongue? Do I have your consent? Yeah. So the tongue in itself, what I see is something that's a little bit puffy.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of teeth marks. It has a red tip, and there's kind of a crack or line down the center, which could just be biological too, but it depends on whether I see it over multiple times and that changes or not.
Yeah.
So we say the color, the duskiness, which is a little bit pale and almost a little purple, means that there's some stagnation somewhere. You know, that maybe blood is stuck somewhere. I don't know if you have aches and pains. The puffiness as well is tied to what we say our spleen and digestive energy. It's a little bit slower and not moving the fluids. So then the fluids get stuck and that's how you see them. The teeth mark's also tied to the spleen. So whether, you know, digestive issues are felt from bloating, fatigue, any, you know, loose stools, or even the teeth marks too, it's all tied to the overthinking because that's the emotion of the spleen.
Yeah.
You know, it happens a lot for a lot of people who are creative.
Yeah.
And then the tip of the tongue, it was a little bit red, and that's relevant to the heart, right? And so red is more heat in general. So heat in the heart just means that the spirit or the Shen's a little bit off. So we always associate that with maybe dreams that are more vivid or, you know, some restless sleep. Anyways, that was the tongue diagnosis in a nutshell from the second I saw it.
No, I definitely, it's been a bit of a stressful week. I'm like relocating and not getting lots of great sleep, and my diet has not been the best. So that's very accurate. So on Instagram, you share so many helpful wellness tips. I'm wondering if you have kind of a short bite-sized one that you can share with our listeners now. That's maybe something that you've been noticing as a trend within your patients that people struggle with that could help either with like burnout, anxiety, any of those types of things. Yeah.
Ooh, I love this one. I think my biggest tip is have breakfast. I think a lot of issues that people come in with, they don't realize how tied it is with actually eating a protein-rich breakfast. Ideally, you want from Chinese medicine, but you know, if you're having a yogurt or cheese pudding out of the fridge, totally fine. I just want you to eat.
Okay.
And I think for a lot of women, people feel fatigued all their time. They have hormones that are off balance. Their cortisol spikes. You know, they're just like, oh, but I'm not hungry until 2:00. I'm like, okay, that means your body's off balance. Like if someone comes in and they're hungry before 9:00, I'm like, that's awesome. You know, because the spleen and the stomach, which are the digestive organs in Chinese medicine, that's when the energy of it is at its peak. So every organ has a 2-hour window. So for the stomach, it's spleen, it's 7 to 9 and 9 to 11. So if you're not feeding it at those times, it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So how can we strengthen it? It's to literally feed it.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about protein. I've talked to a couple of different guests and people have different perspectives on this.
Of course.
Some people are like, oh, protein is like kind of like overly. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Living Well or Trying to. If you don't already, please follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. It means so much to me that my new episodes will just pop up in your feed. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing, please leave a rating and review. It means so much for a small content creator like myself in this world that is so saturated now to be able to have some feedback from all of you. As always, I so appreciate you. Thank you for lending me your ears, your eyes, your presence, and your attention, especially in today's world when there are so many other places that you could be giving it to. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to catch you on another episode.